Coming up on Oakdale Update, we'll visit with Washington County Sheriff Dan Starry. We'll also preview a number of exciting events taking place in the city this summer. Stay tuned, Oakdale Update is straight ahead. Hello and welcome to Oakdale Update. I'm your host, Frank Orsello. This is the City of Oakdale's news and information program about your community. Sheriff Dan Starry started his law enforcement career with the Washington County Sheriff's Office in 1993. In his 25-year career, he has worked in numerous capacities. In 2017, he was appointed sheriff upon the Sheriff Bill Hutton's retirement, and was elected by the citizens of Washington County to serve as their sheriff in 2018. I'm now joined by Washington County Sheriff Dan Starry. Sheriff, thanks for joining us on Oakdale Update.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for having me.
That's no problem. And first of all, I want to apologize because we were going to have you on right after the election, but we've got more guests than we do time to air this stuff. So
time
anyway,
gets away.
Yeah, it is. But we're, what the heck, where are we on? June, July? We're almost there. All right, first of all, let's start out. Tell me about yourself.
Sure. I'm Dan Starry. I was started with the Sheriff's Office, as you said, in 1993. That was my first law enforcement job. And so I came from southern Minnesota, where I was raised in Austin, Minnesota, home of Spam and Hormel. And I came up here and got hired. Then Sheriff Trudeau hired me. And I've been blessed to be here ever since.
You were not a cop before you even came here?
I was not. I was young. When I started, I was 22.
Oh my goodness! Did you go to college? I mean, what have you had for education?
I did. I went to Alexandria Technical College, and then from there I got my degree from St. Mary's University.
So, law enforcement degree?
It's a criminal justice degree. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. And then you came to Washington County, and you got a job as a deputy right away, and there you go.
You know, it's one of those things, right? So we got hired up here, got the job, moved my wife up here at the time. We've raised a family here. I got a 23 and a 25-year-old,
wow.
2 daughters, and we've made this our home.
And you're living in Washington County?
We are. We're actually living in Stillwater up on the North Hill.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
As you and I were just talking off camera here, isn't Washington County a wonderful community? I mean, you got agriculture and you got nice little cities. It's a neat place, isn't it?
It's got everything that you want, from down south to up north, but the central area, Oakdale, Lake Elmo, Stillwater, beautiful area. And there's a lot of stuff to do.
Absolutely. And that Stillwater is historic as they come.
Yes, that is true. Okay. Birthplace of Minnesota.
Yep. Okay, so let's get started on. We got a lot to talk about today, and we've only got so much time to do it in.
Yes.
So let's talk about the Sheriff's Office in general. Okay, what are the areas that Washington County Sheriff's Office takes care of? What are the areas?
So, Frank, it's almost easier to go the other way and say, what are the areas that we don't cover?
Okay.
Those areas that have their own police department, from the south to north: St. Paul Park, Cottage Grove, Woodbury, Oakdale, Oak Park Heights, Bayport, Stillwater, and then Forest Lake. Otherwise, everything else the Sheriff's Office covers.
Okay, so how big is the county from north to south? What are we talking about?
So we're looking at about 260,000 residents, and we're looking from, the tip is from Forest Lake, Scandia, all the way down to Hastings. We actually have 2 residents that live in Hastings that are within Washington County. So it's a large area, and then we go from the river, St. Croix River, over to on the other side of Oakdale. So
on Century Avenue.
On Century Avenue is our cutoff.
Okay. Now, so the cities that don't have police of their own,
Yes.
so, or no, I'm sorry, the cities that do have their police, do you back them up to?
Absolutely. You know, the sheriff's office, we're responsible, being the sheriff, I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the county, but we stretch from that whole length of the county, and we routinely back up our partners.
Sure.
We're very fortunate out here that we have the police departments and the sheriff's office that get along. The chiefs and I, we were just meeting about a week ago. It's one of those things that we just have a great relationship. The officers and the deputies, they back each other up. They count on each other to do basic routine day-to-day functions.
All right, so as large as that is, how do you get deputies from one end to the other?
You know, that is always the challenge. But we have satellite offices throughout, from north to south. So we have a satellite office in Scandia. We have one in the city of Hugo. We have one in Montemita, Lake Elmo, Lower St. Croix Valley. We have one, and then down in Newport.
What does that mean? Does that mean a piece of property that they report to?
We do. So we start and end the shift from where they patrol. So, for example, in the city of Lake Elmo, they report there, the deputies do, and we have our squad stationed there. They pick up their squad, they start their shift, and they end their shift there.
They do. And then what, they take their cars home?
So the squads are there, and so they pick up their squad when they start their shift, and they drop them off at the end of the shift.
So they drive to it. They drive to that spot.
They do.
But where are the deputies coming from? I mean, do you try and get it so that it's a guy who lives in Oakdale rather than Scandia that has to come down to Lake Elmo? How do you work that?
You know, we really do. Obviously, we have contract rules, and most of it's by seniority. But the deputies really want to patrol where they live,
Sure.
And so it really comes down to their area of familiarity. You know, they live there, they work there, they go to school, or their kids go to school, and they want to be a part of that community.
Oh, sure, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, you know, another outfit. Are you in pretty good tandem with the highway patrol too?
We
I
are.
would imagine. I mean,
Absolutely. All of our federal and our state partners, whether it's the DEA, the ATF, Minnesota State Patrol, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the DNR, we all work together
really?
very,
DNR
very well. Absolutely.
okay. So what do you do? Have meetings with with the other chiefs and all that, huh?
We do. We have a monthly Washington County Chiefs of Police Association where we meet, but I'm the president of the Minnesota Sheriff's Association 4th District, and so all the sheriffs come together, we meet, discuss what's going on in our areas, and making sure that we really partner with our state and federal partners, and those partners are also asked to join in those meetings as well.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so now, how many employees do you have in your department?
So I have 264 employees.
Okay.
And Frank, I will tell you, they are the most committed, dedicated, caring individuals that you'll ever meet.
Okay. And then what is your budget?
We have this year it would be about $32 million budget.
32 million.
It's a large budget, but you have to remember that we have courts, we have the jail, we have our patrol division, all of those areas of responsibility, and it's the jail represents a third of our budget.
Okay, and I want to get into that a little bit, but your office is at the Washington County Courthouse, right?
It is at the Washington County Law Enforcement Center, which is connected to the courthouse.
Connected court. I bet there's a lot of people that don't know where the sheriff's office is.
You know, we're right in the city of Stillwater. We're right off Highway 36.
Right.
And
You're in north of the courthouse, right?
Yes,
Isn't that right?
absolutely.
You know, I drive by when I go to the courthouse, but I don't ever. Who goes over there? Unless they've got a problem.
Unless they have an issue or they need something,
There
and then
you
they
go.
come on over.
That's right. Hey, okay, so your office, I was reading some literature on you. Your office is called the Pioneer Agency. What is that all about? What is that?
You know, the Pioneer Agency, it really goes back to the St. Croix territories even before Minnesota was a state. And so when Minnesota became a state, we had a sheriff that was actually in Wisconsin and Minnesota. And so when we became a state and the sheriffs, 1840, then 1849, and then Washington County was formed, we actually were historically one of the first sheriff's office within the state. And so we call ourselves the pioneering agency.
Good.
But we also want to say that we're also pioneering whether it's technology, whether it's programs that assist our public and our citizens. We really want to be that leader in those type of programs, and so it's sort of twofold.
Okay. All right. So you've got 6 divisions.
Yes.
Your group is 6 divisions. I'm going to mention these, and you give me a quick rundown on them. Okay. What they do. All right. Special Services Division.
Our Special Services is basically our records area and our emergency management team and our communication center. So when someone calls anywhere within Washington County, calls 911, our dispatchers in Stillwater answer your phone call. So whether it's Oakdale, whether it's Cottage Grove, as soon as you hit 911, it gets transferred to Washington County Sheriff's Office dispatch.
You're in charge of the whole 911 program, is that correct?
I am.
For all Washington County?
That is correct.
Oh, goodness. How many people you got working on that part?
So that division, just in our dispatch, we have 32.
No kidding.
Yes.
And that's 24/7, I'm sure, isn't it?
That is 24/7, absolutely.
So you're in charge. Okay. So then we have the Patrol Division, and what is that one?
Yeah, our patrol division is basically the squads that you see out on the street. And so they're patrolling our contract cities, which is those areas that don't have their own police departments, but also those unincorporated areas like the townships.
Okay.
And so we're out and about in the squad cars, and we're patrolling, responding to emergency calls, and just normal citizen complaints.
Okay. So the Investigative Division. Okay, tell me about that, and I want to ask a few questions about that.
You know, the investigative division is really, that's our hub of when a crime is committed, our patrol will take the initial report, say a burglary, and then that will be transferred up to the investigations. Our unit up there, they will start investigating that crime, looking for any leads to make sure that we solve that problem that is being handled.
Who has a jurisdiction on that? I mean, is this just be outside of cities? Then, I mean, you don't help the local cops on that, do you?
You know, every police department has their own investigative division as well, but we team up so often, just like our drug task force is housed there as well, and we have members from local police departments on our drug task force as well. Yes.
Oh, all right. So then the other one is the Jail Division, which you were talking about before. That's pretty big, isn't it?
It is. It's very big. So we have a 228-bed facility. Last year was the highest that we've ever been. Our average daily population, we were housing 198 to 200 inmates a day.
Now, where do we say in Oak Park Heights? The prisons? Is that what?
So that's not the prisons. That's the jail. So the jail is connected to the sheriff's office in the courthouse.
Oh.
So the prisons are if someone goes through court and they are convicted for more than a year in a day, then they go to prison. Otherwise, if they're convicted less than that, or if they're waiting for trial, they're housed at the sheriff's office.
That's like a county jailhouse,
It
right?
is our county jail.
Okay, so at that stage, you must be getting together with Pete Orput and the legal departments, right, as to what to do with these people, right?
Absolutely. County Pete Orput and I mean, what a great guy and a great department. But we work hand in hand with them in our patrol, our investigations, and also for those that are housed within the jail.
Okay. How are these pretty serious criminals in the county jails, or?
You know, most of our inmates are only there for 8 days. And most of it's a quick turnover. A lot of them are your neighbors, brothers, relatives, you know, and they're usually in there for maybe they get picked up for DWI or some misdemeanor charge, and so they're booked and released or booked and held until they can see a judge.
Okay, so how serious could those criminals be? I mean, murders and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. We do hold murderers as well. While they wait for their trial and while they're convicted, we house them at the jail.
And again, that's when you would hook up with Pete and his crew and start deciding what to do. Interesting.
Absolutely. County attorney responds and tries all the felony cases, and so he's responsible for that. So we're in close contact with Pete.
Do you personally meet with Pete a lot? I know Pete too, and he's a wonderful guy. Very dedicated man, is he not? And I mean, his whole staff is very dedicated. But are you in personal contact with him often, I'm sure?
I am. Matter of fact, I called him last night, and I called called him actually. I know it sounds weird, but I called him on the way over here.
Oh, you did?
We're working on a case right now, and I needed his opinion on that. And so we contact weekly, if not almost daily.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you're working on a case that you have to know the legal ramifications of what you can do and can't do, is that correct?
Absolutely, and then warrant justification and all of that type of stuff as you go through, and just making sure that we have all of our investigation as complete as we can before we bring it up to Pete and his team.
All right, so now we go to the court special projects. What's that one?
You know, the sheriff by law is responsible for courthouse security. And so right away within the jail or within the court, you'll see our staff manning the metal detectors coming through, but we're also their bailiffs within the courtrooms as well. And so we're responsible for security in the courthouse. Doesn't say anything else except for the sheriff shall be, and that's where we are. So
that group of people, are they strictly, is that their jobs? I mean, they don't go out on the streets or anything like that, correct?
So they're also sworn deputies, and so that's a biddable position, and it's highly sought after. And so after a few years out on patrol, you can start asking to be put into these special assignments, whether it's contract cities, whether it's investigations, court security. And so the deputies move around, give them something a little bit different to see and to do during the course of their career.
Is that correct?
Just like me, I've done just about everything within the sheriff's office, whether it was narcotics officer, investigations, DARE officer over in Mahtomedi. I was a canine officer with Canine Smokey, so there's a lot to do at the sheriff's office.
Okay. Oh, it's busy, but there's a lot of people there too. Okay, so then the special projects, what does that mean?
The special projects is more for, again, it goes back to the courts in court security. And then there also, the projects piece of it comes down to our water parks and trails. So obviously we have beautiful parks within the county, and we have a lot of riverways, we have a lot of lakes, and the sheriff's responsible for those. And so we're out there patrolling as well.
Wait a minute, does that deal with the DNR too? I mean,
it does, but there's only so many DNR, and so the sheriff is also responsible for patrolling and enforcing laws on bodies of water.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
St. Croix River too, would that be?
St. Croix River and the Mississippi.
Is that right?
Yes.
Ooh, you guys are stretched.
We are busy.
Okay, so speaking of that, how are you doing on deputies? I mean, I talked to Chief Sullivan, and they're hurting for, I don't know if he is particular, but police in general they're very short of cops. So how are you doing on that?
And I would say I would stretch that even further. I think people are short in law enforcement in general. So it's the police on the street, it's our corrections, our jail staff, it's our dispatch. 2 years ago, Hennepin County was in a crisis mode with their dispatch because they couldn't find enough individuals to dispatch the 911 calls.
Wow.
For us, we're very fortunate. We're down 5 deputies right now. However, I got 5 that are starting, 3 this week, 2 the following week. And so we're finding quality candidates, but the pool is small, and so everyone's fighting for the same pool. So we're lucky enough to get them and get our positions filled.
So are these people, are they saying, I want to be a Washington County deputy? Is that how that goes?
Yeah, you know, especially when they come out of school, I think they're just looking for a job. And we want it more than that. We want them to see it as a career, as a place that, just like me, that they can start, and build a family, have those connections and everything else, and really be a part of the community. And that's truly what it is. And that's why we call it more of a career than a job, because community engagement and involvement is very near and dear to my heart.
Do you have a high turnover at all?
You're going to jinx me, Frank. But we've been doing very well with turnover. So most of ours come from retirement. I just had a correctional officer, Greg McCreary. I'll give a shout out to him, but he just retired after 19 years.
Oh, wow.
And what a great career he had.
Wow. Okay, so there's a couple other things that you people do. Let's talk about some of the other ones. the court services, I guess we call them. Washington County Emergency Management. What is
Yes.
that all about?
So within Washington County, we have to have emergency management. If there's a disaster or a catastrophe, for example, the Hugo tornado, we run the emergency management. So they work with FEMA, and they do a lot of planning, and they work with our cities and our townships to make sure that if there is a disaster or an emergency of a large-scale proportion, that they assist those agencies, the cities, the townships, to make sure that those officials know exactly what's going to be occurring, and then they work through all the red tape as well.
Okay, the investigations division. Did we talk about that? Is that the
We
same one?
did.
Or? We did.
We talked about some of it, but within the investigations division, we certainly have those areas that are specialized as well. We have a computer forensics lab. And so everything these days, it's all technology. And whether it's your cell phone that's a mini computer or a laptop or a desktop, a lot of our crimes deal with technology. And so we have to have a team to make sure that they know how to look through this technology to find the evidence that we need to charge them.
So do you have a lab and that sort of thing? I
We
mean,
do. We have a lab that we started in 2019. We opened it up at the end of 18, but it was really going in 2019, and it's fantastic. We're training some of the other agencies that have computer forensic people as well, and that are just getting up and going. So we tell them, come on in, we'll teach you what we know, and help each other out. So,
okay, so how? Okay, this sounds like you've got a lot of educated people here.
yes.
Do you help them along? I mean, do you help them, send them to schools, FBI Academy, and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. As a graduate of the FBI National Academy myself, we certainly do. We had a commander, she just went a couple years ago, and we continually put people in for that. National Staff and Command School, we just had 2 sergeants that went through that this past month. And so we're always developing our people, because that is key. You got to make sure that they're up to date, but the schooling is so important. You can't say enough about that.
Now, I was at a dinner, and Pete, and it was about human trafficking.
Yes.
So what's your part of that?
So certainly, was that the cast dinner?
Yes.
So I couldn't make that one. I apologize. I was there for the year before. But we work in close partnership with Oakdale and Woodbury, and with County Attorney Pete Orpett. We have a team. Our sheriff's office is embedded with that team as well. And so all of these sex trafficking cases that you see through Washington County, we're also a part of.
You are?
We are.
So I know Oakdale, Woodbury, and North St. Paul, and who else? I mean, they're very active in this. I mean, I guess, and I've talked to Pete about it too. We never realized how bad it is, or how bad it is, I guess, huh?
Once we started looking, once we created this task force, and our sergeant is in charge of that, but once we started looking into stuff and back pages when we first started, I mean, it didn't take long before we knew that we had an issue right here in Washington County. Whole metro, the whole state. I mean, technology plays a role in that, right? And people think that they're behind their screens and they're anonymous, and that's not the case. They actually go out and, as we've seen with many, many stings, that they do come out and they try to meet those victims that are being trafficked, unfortunately. And fortunately for us, we have a task force. We're out there. We're proactive. We don't sit back and be reactive. We're really out there making sure that these perpetrators are put away.
Okay, I've talked to Pete about it many times, and now you also have a lady criminologist on your staff. Is that you, or is that in Pete's department?
So we have 2 crime analysts. We have a male and a female. One is over at North Central Haida. That's our drug trafficking place, and then the other one is at CISA over in Hennepin County. And this is really where all the our stuff comes in from.
Okay.
What Pete is talking about, Pete also has an analyst that's embedded within within our task force, but only dealing with sex trafficking.
The criminologist lady, or no,
Yep.
he's Amy. I think is her
Amy
name.
is her name, yes.
Amy, yeah, she's the one taking the phone calls and
She's the analyst, and she can look at a hotel room and she can pinpoint what that cover is on the bedspread, and she'll say, whatever hotel chain that is, she knows. She's very
very good at what
intelligent.
she does.
She is.
And when I talked to Pete about it, I mean, you catch judges and lawyers and doctors and everybody doing this, right?
Unfortunately, it knows no demographic.
And I kept asking Pete, why would you do something like that? Me, I mean, why would a guy? But he said it's something in their head, right?
You know, it's one of those things that we have to teach our young sons at an early age to, you know, this is not the way you treat females. It's just not the way.
They've got a different mindset, though, according to Pete. I mean, we've got so much more we could talk about, but, you know, they're giving me the signal here, so I'm afraid we're all done. I want to thank you so much for coming. You filled us in, and our people in Oakdale, and, well, this goes all around the whole Twin City area eventually, so you're getting some good PR here, and you're doing a good job, and I want to thank you for your service, too.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. We're almost out of time on this month's show. Before we go, here are some upcoming events in the city. Summerfest runs from June 20th through the 22nd and includes many great events, including a parade on Thursday and fireworks on Saturday. There's also plenty of musical entertainment, food, a carnival, and medallion hunt. It's time again for the weekly farmers market. It runs every Wednesday from 2 to 6 p.m. at the City Hall parking lot. Purchase locally grown products that promote healthy lifestyles while sustaining local agriculture at the Oakdale Farmers Market. It's also almost time again for movies in the park. Round up the kids, some lawn chairs or a blanket, and enjoy a night under the stars as the movie plays on the big screen at Walton Park Bandshell. On July 12th, the movie is Lego Movie 2, and on August 18th, the movie is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. The movies will start at dusk, about 20 minutes after sunset. And finally, Vets Fest will once again be held at Walton Park, this time on July 27th from 11 to 6. Legendary band Crow will be the headliner at 4 p.m. Other events at Vets Fest include Huey helicopter landings and a vintage airplane flyover. That's all we have time for on this month's Oakdale Update. For everyone at the City of Oakdale, thanks for watching.